As you rightly pointed out, Southwest seems to be an inspiration partly for setting up Air Deccan. And you have followed many of the approaches of Southwest, fast turnaround, minimal service, very high efficient utilization of aircrafts and so on. But India is such a different market. I mean, what element of the Southwest model could you translate or transport to India?
The idea of Southwest came to me when I saw the customer profile. But if you compared the not only then even today the aviation penetration there and the aviation penetration here, even today it is below sub-Saharan Africa. Less than 3% of India is traveling by air even today. When Air Deccan started, it was less than 0.5%. We had just 13 million passengers. So when I was coming back from Southwest, when I was in the Luton airport, I saw a board there which said that airport was handling 13 million passengers. Well, London was already handling about 80 million passengers in 2002. And London has 5 airports. Apart from many mini airports like this, it has 5 international airports, all competing with each other. And the smallest airport was flying 13 million passengers. All our 40 airports at that time which were connected, put together, was flying 13 million passengers. So I didn't need, as I said, McKinsey to tell me that there was a huge business opportunity here. So when I came back, India was not on the radar of any aircraft manufacturing company or anybody. Jet Airways had stopped growing. It was a full service carrier. There were only 3 airlines, Jet, Sahara and Air India. And it was a cartel, it was controlled. Every ticket was 13,000 rupees for a Bangalore-Delhi. Bangalore-Delhi, if a husband, wife and 2 kids went and came back, it was costing you 1 lakh rupees. If the kids were above, not infants. 4 tickets, so 4 into 13 is 52. So 52 to go and 52 to come. So it's only the business people who are traveling or the super rich. The middle class and the lower, even the upper middle class were not traveling by air. My own pilots helicopter pilots were on vacations going by train. I mean, that's how, but the aircrafts were flying at 45% occupancy and there was no growth. And so India was, very medieval in that sense in terms of the aircraft rules and regulations, the airport infrastructure. There was no internet, the credit card penetration was not there. And so all these, made it absolutely impossible for a low-cost airline to start. Because for a low-cost airline, you need huge internet penetration. You need liberal rules and regulations. You need ideally alternate airport, not airport monopolies. All this didn't exist. So, but somehow I was obsessed that I could change things. I also realized that when you go to the government and say, I want to make common people fly, and I'll give fares at 1/3, 1/4, that idea is so powerful, instead of red tape, there'll be red carpet. Every clerk will push it to make it happen. And that's exactly what happened. And I had a very clear idea that I had to really be aggressive. I had to really expand, and just go by my gut. In being in the forefront of changing the consumer shift, and getting everybody to open up to make this happen. And so when I came and announced that I'm going to start a low-cost airline, there were 2 things in my mind. One was, of course, a low fare. But the other one was not just low fare alone, but also to link a lot of cities which were not connected.
So you were really big.
Yeah.
And then what were the sequence of events that led to your deciding to exit in 2007?
Yeah. See, what happened was that Air Deccan was, because of the sheer expansion that we did, though we hardly had any debt, We hardly for being the largest airline, we still had 150 crores debt. That's it. We were the largest airline, but the company had become very big. In the meantime, about 5 airlines came after us. Kingfisher came, SpiceJet came, Paramount came, and GoAir came. So another 5 airlines came in. Indigo came in. So there was now suddenly pressure on the price. Second, because of a huge expansion, there were huge problems in our growth. We had a lot of growth problems, which we could have managed better, maybe, or which was not possible to manage, because the reason why we expanded was the existing competitors were trying to snuff us out. And I realized that if I don't expand, they're going to kill me. So I really expanded. When you keep putting more flights, that means you're acquiring more airports, more people, more aircrafts. Then the break even for each route takes time. So without waiting for that break even, I was expanding because I wanted a larger footprint. And we also had a huge problem in parking space. It was partly political. We were not getting all the aircrafts. Like Jet Airways had 20 aircrafts in Bombay and 20 in Delhi for the night halt. So you require only 2 maintenance bases. We had 8 maintenance bases. So our maintenance became a bit difficult. So when all this was happening, all airlines were losing money. We were also losing money. We had not become profitable. Then my investors, who were all private equity players, not strategic investors, they were looking for exit. Because they said, so many airlines have come now, all of them are losing money, we are also losing money. If we get a good investor, their idea was to exit because they can make huge amount of returns. I was the managing director, big shareholder, but I was not the largest shareholder. I did not have 51. All of us put together had something like about 35-40%. The investors had control on the, together had more percentage. And they were a bit reluctant to pump in more funds. And therefore, when we got listed, the company became a target for acquisition. They panicked a bit, thinking that the losses of Deccan, which at that time was happening, they realized that that was the time oil prices went through the sky. From $17 when airlines started, $17 to $20, $21 was per barrel when Air Deccan started. It went to $100. It crossed $100. When it crossed $125, $130 a barrel, and taxes did not come down. See, because now the government is making on a percentage, so the net profit the government was making was huge because they were taking 20% on $20, 30% on $20. They were also taking 30% on $114. So the oil became $140. So the losses increased, prices went up. When prices went up, the occupancy came down. If you increase the price, the occupancy came down. If you kept the prices low, you were not able to, because the fuel bills crossed 50% of your ticket, 58% of your ticket, the fuel bills. Combined with that, because of the sudden expansion of other airlines, there was an impossible demand for pilots and engineers. Today the pilot is there, tomorrow he is not there. Because Kingfisher came and offered them double the salary. Because the trained manpower was not there. So it was putting a huge strain, which the salary component went up, the dollar appreciated, oil appreciated, and then the banking crisis of 2008 took place. All this combined, and the economy took a beating, and all airlines were losing money, and that is the time my Airbus came to me and said, look, Malia has Airbuses, you have Airbuses, if you combine, it will be a stronger entity. And my, of course, because now Air Deccan had become so big, the darling of the stock market, and the investors were putting pressure on me, Captain, let's exit now.
So if you were to predict the future of the airline companies in India, who would you think will be the most likely to be successful?
I think Indigo and Spice will be successful, and maybe AirAsia, because there are a lot of now problems in AirAsia in terms of internal management. I do not think Vistara and Jet domestic will be successful unless they have two separate watertight divisions, where one becomes totally domestic low cost, the other is independent of this and becomes totally full service international. Because the typical model with a business class seat clubbed with the economy, domestic will not work. Because if I am buying a economy seat, if it is a particular fare in Indigo, and if it is a higher fare in Vistara, barring an odd guy, 90% people will go by the cheapest fare. And today the low-cost airlines have better aircrafts with a cheaper fare. So why would you want to go just because he is going to give you meals? You would not want to pay 2,000 rupees extra for a 100 rupee benefit. So I think Vistara and Jet and Air India will continue to be in problems.
So I guess Mr. Naresh Goyal and Ratan Tata will be very unhappy to hear you make this prediction.
But to the credit of Jet, their service quality is outstanding.
Yes. And they did try all these Jet Connect and Jet Light and Jet.
They have did a lot of hodgepodge.
Yeah, but now they've come back to some more rational positioning.
It's difficult to make a full service work in the domestic.
I want to thank you very much. It's been a great session. Thank you for being so frank.